inner doubts, standing tall in the face of adversity, and letting actions, not words, tell the story. The gym, once a bastion of rigid hierarchy and ego, began to evolve into a space where every student, regardless of background or history, could find their place and prove their worth. And at the heart of that change was Alex Vance, a woman who refused to be defined by the shallow judgments of others, and who showed that sometimes the strongest warriors are those who fight with quiet dignity, resilience, and an unshakable belief in their own worth. This story, rich with emotional nuance and relatable struggles, speaks to anyone who has ever felt underestimated or overlooked. It highlights the pain of prejudice and arrogance, but also celebrates the power of perseverance and self-respect. Through Alex's journey, readers are invited to reflect on the ways society judges others too quickly, and to recognize the hidden strength that often lies beneath the surface. In the end, the story of Alex and Master Thompson is not just about martial arts. It is about the universal battle between humility and pride, invisibility and recognition, silence and voice. It is a narrative that resonates deeply because it mirrors real-life experiences, where quiet strength and dignity have the power to challenge, change, and ultimately transform. In the heart of the Martial Arts Academy, where tradition and discipline mingled with the muted rustle of GE fabric and the sharp snap of focused breaths, Master Thompson's sneering presence cast a shadow that seemed to fill the entire training hall. The wooden floorboards, polished to a dull shine, reflected the harsh glare of overhead lights, creating a stage where reputations were built and shattered in equal measure. The students gathered in a semicircle around the polished sparring mat, buzzed with an electric mixture of anticipation and amusement, their whispered comments weaving through the tense atmosphere like a low hum of excitement. Among them stood Alex, a figure both unassuming and resolute, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the boisterous confidence of the Academy's most revered yet arrogant master. Master Thompson, a man whose reputation for ruthlessness and dominance was matched only by his inflated ego, eyed Alex with a mixture of contempt and disbelief. To him, she was little more than an intruder, someone misplaced, a challenger unworthy of his attention and certainly no threat to his carefully curated image of superiority. His voice, carrying an edge sharp enough to cut through the murmurs, rang out clearly across the room as he issued the challenge, a cruel grin playing on his lips. If you truly think you belong here, then prove it. Step onto the mat. Let's see if you have even an ounce of skill. I'll make quick work of you and maybe, just maybe, teach you some humility. The words were not merely a test. They were a calculated attempt to humiliate, to assert dominance by publicly breaking someone he saw as beneath him. The students exchanged glances, some chuckling softly, convinced the outcome was inevitable, that Master Thompson's prowess would swiftly dismantle Alex's quiet defiance, leaving her exposed and defeated before the entire academy. The challenge was less a question and more a spectacle, designed to reinforce the existing hierarchy. But Alex, standing firm amidst the simmering tension, did not flinch. Her eyes, steady and resolute, met Master Thompson's with an unspoken message. She was not intimidated, nor was she here to play by the rules dictated by arrogance or cruelty. Slowly, deliberately, she shed the weight of silence and stepped forward onto the mat. The air shifted subtly as she moved, the students' laughter fading into a hush of anticipation. Alex's movements were fluid, almost poetic, a graceful harmony of strength and control that belied the casual ease of her stance. Her posture was neither defensive nor aggressive, but poised, suggesting a deep well of skill and experience hidden beneath her unassuming exterior. The room held its breath, the energy shifting palpably as Alex settled into her fighting stance. This was no mere acceptance of a challenge. It was a declaration of presence, a quiet yet powerful assertion of worth that defied the assumptions embedded in Master Thompson's mocking tone. The students, initially amused, began to sense the undercurrent of something far more formidable than a simple sparring match. Alex's calmness spoke of hours of dedication, of battles fought both on and off the mat, of an inner strength honed through struggle and perseverance. Her eyes, sharp and focused, scanned the room briefly before locking onto Master Thompson's, inviting him to meet her with the respect her skill demanded, even if he was too blinded by arrogance to recognize it yet. The narrative tension built steadily. The academy transformed from a mere training ground into an arena of personal and collective reckoning. For many students, this was no longer just a contest of martial arts prowess. It was a test of character, a moment to witness the dismantling of prejudice and the triumph of dignity over derision. Master Thompson's initial sneer flickered, replaced by a flicker of uncertainty. He had underestimated Alex, and the realization stoked a subtle fire beneath his bravado. Yet, fueled by pride and the need to maintain his dominance, he took his stance, preparing to engage in a duel that promised to be far more challenging than he had ever imagined. As they circled each other on the mat, the crowd leaned in, senses heightened, hearts pounding with the thrill of impending confrontation. Alex's every move was measured, deliberate, a dance of calculated strikes and parries that revealed not just physical skill, but strategic brilliance. She anticipated Master Thompson's aggression, countering his advances with fluid grace and unyielding focus. The clash of their encounter was not merely physical but symbolic, a battle between arrogance and humility, between the visible and the underestimated, between the oppressive past and the promise of change. The students watched, riveted, as Alex gradually shifted the momentum, her confidence unwavering as she deftly deflected each blow and responded with precision. Her actions silenced the whispers of doubt and replaced them with awe. Master Thompson's frustration mounted as his usual tactics failed to unsettle her. His voice, once full of mockery, now trembled with the strain of facing a worthy opponent. In this crucible of challenge and response, the Academy witnessed a transformation, not just in the match's unfolding, but in the broader narrative of respect and recognition. Alex, through her quiet determination and undeniable skill, became a symbol of resilience against prejudice, of the power that lies in self-belief and unshakable dignity. As the sparring match progressed, it became evident that this confrontation was about far more than winning or losing. It was about rewriting assumptions and breaking barriers that had long constrained those who dared to step beyond imposed limits. And in that charged moment, beneath the bright glare of the training hall's lights, with every focused breath and every precise movement, Alex was not just fighting Master Thompson, she was fighting for recognition, for justice, and for the silent strength that refuses to be diminished by scorn or stereotype. When the final bell rang, signaling the end of the match, the room erupted not in laughter or derision but in respectful silence, and then applause. Alex's victory was not just a personal triumph, but a moment that challenged the entire Academy to reconsider the true meaning of skill, respect, and worth. Master Thompson, humbled and transformed by the encounter, was forced to confront his own arrogance and the limitations it had imposed. And for Alex, this was more than a match won. It was a declaration that courage and dignity can rise above even the most dismissive of challenges, inspiring all who witnessed her strength to question their own prejudices and recognize the extraordinary potential hidden in the most unassuming places. The story of this sparring match would be retold within the Academy's walls for years to come, not simply as a contest of martial skill but as a profound lesson in respect, humility, and the enduring power of quiet resolve. The gym was alive with the sounds of clashing bodies, grunts of effort, and the steady rhythm of footsteps on the polished mats. But as Master Thompson stepped onto the sparring area, a sudden hush began to ripple through the crowd gathered around. Known for his intimidating presence and years of dominance, Thompson carried himself with a cocky confidence, the kind that came from never being seriously challenged. His eyes, sharp and gleaming with self-assuredness, locked on Alex, a figure who had been underestimated from the start, not because of lack of skill, but because of appearances and whispered doubts from those who clung to their assumptions. The air was thick with anticipation as the two squared off, Thompson's aggressive stance and practiced smirk signaling a readiness to crush what he presumed was an easy opponent. With a sudden burst of energy, he launched his first attack, a powerful, sweeping strike meant to end the match quickly. But the movement was clumsy and telegraphed, a routine motion that Alex had seen countless times, yet the audience had not expected her to anticipate so precisely. In an instant, Alex's body moved with a grace and speed that seemed almost otherworldly, slipping past Thompson's blow as if it were a shadow. Her reflexes were sharp, honed by years of disciplined training, and her focus was unshakable despite the eyes fixed on her from all around the gym. Each dodge was effortless, her form fluid and controlled, as she countered with a series of precise moves that spoke not just to physical skill, but to a deep understanding. In the time-worn gym, where the sharp scent of liniment mingled with the rhythmic thud of fists striking bags and the scrape of feet across polished wooden floors. The energy was thick with anticipation and sweat, an unspoken promise of discipline and mastery, echoing in every corner. Master Thompson, a man whose salt and pepper hair crowned a face lined with years of victories and self-assured pride, commanded the room with a presence that was as imposing as the medals adorning the walls behind him. Tall, broad-shouldered, and draped in a traditional jai that seemed almost to radiate authority, he moved with the confident ease of a man who had never been bested, his voice cutting through the din like a sharpened blade. Today, a new student had stepped through the heavy doors. Alex Vance, a young black woman whose quiet demeanor and unassuming posture betrayed none of the fierce talent that simmered beneath the surface. Her eyes, steady and sharp, scanned the room as she absorbed the sounds and movements, every muscle in her lithe frame poised for what was to come. The other students, a mix of eager teenagers and seasoned adults, had barely registered her presence before Master Thompson's gaze settled upon her, a flicker of amused superiority dancing in his eyes. In front of the class, he allowed a smirk to curl his lips, a silent proclamation of his supremacy that needed no words, until he chose to speak. With a voice laced with condescension, he addressed Alex directly, the edge unmistakable as he said, "You're new here, huh? Well, don't expect to do much beyond cleaning the mats. That's probably all you're good for." The room rippled with forced laughter and uneasy glances as the students absorbed his dismissal, their laughter a chorus that echoed around Alex like an invisible cage. Despite the humiliation that stung like a slap to the face, Alex stood unmoved, her gaze unwavering and calm, as if anchored by something far deeper than the surface skirmishes of ego and expectation. She could have retorted, revealed the years of sweat-soaked training and the trophies hidden away in the quiet corners of her past, but instead she chose silence, a deliberate, powerful refusal to be defined by the shallow judgments of arrogance. As the laughter died down and the lesson continued, Alex bent to her task of cleaning the mats, each sweep of her rag deliberate, almost meditative, a quiet reclaiming of dignity in a space that sought to diminish her. The other students resumed their drills, some stealing glances at her, curious, respectful, or perhaps secretly admiring the grace with which she bore the slight. Master Thompson, for all his bravado, remained unaware that the seed of quiet strength had been planted right there on those mats, ready to grow in the fertile soil of his underestimation, beneath the surface of humiliation and the facade of superiority. The story unfurled as a testament to resilience. The clash between old-school arrogance and the unyielding spirit of a woman who knew her worth without needing to shout it from the rooftops. In the midst of jeers and derision, Alex's presence was a silent challenge, a reminder that true mastery was not just about loud declarations or the flash of medals, but about the courage to stand tall in the face of dismissal, to let actions speak louder than words, and to prepare for the moment when the quiet would become undeniable. As the class drew to a close and students began to file out, Alex remained, her eyes meeting Master Thompson's with a calmness that unsettled him for the first time that day. It was a gaze that promised more than just skill. It was a quiet herald of change, a challenge to the old order, and a powerful reminder that beneath the surface of every underestimated newcomer lies a reservoir of strength waiting to be revealed. The old martial arts gym was a place steeped in tradition, its walls echoing with decades of discipline, sweat, and silent determination. The polished wooden floors bore the marks of countless footfalls, and the air was thick with the smell of liniment and the faint metallic tang of worn brass trophies glinting in the dim overhead lights. This was a sanctuary for those who sought mastery, not just of the body, but of the mind and spirit. Today it was alive with the sounds of grunts and strikes, the slap of bare feet against the floor, and the rhythmic chants of students pushing themselves beyond their limits under the watchful eye of their leader, Master Thompson. Master Thompson was a commanding presence, tall, broad-shouldered, and aging with an air of unshakable confidence that bordered on arrogance. His salt and pepper hair framed a face weathered by years of battle and discipline. Yet it was his piercing eyes that held the true weight of his authority. For him, mastery was not merely a title but an identity, one that had earned him respect and fear within these walls. He loved to be the center of attention, to command the room with a single glance or a word. Today, as always, he moved with a practiced ease, his every step and gesture a declaration of dominance. Among the students that day was a newcomer, Alex Vance. She was unlike the others in many ways, quiet and observant, yet with an unmistakable presence. Alex was a young black woman whose entrance had stirred a mixture of curiosity and subtle judgment among the group. Her demeanor was calm, almost reserved, but beneath that calm lay a reservoir of strength and skill that she had carefully kept hidden. For Alex was no ordinary beginner. She was a former national champion, someone who had once stood at the pinnacle of competitive martial arts, a fact she deliberately chose not to reveal. As the class progressed, the atmosphere buzzed with the unspoken hierarchy that permeated martial arts gyms everywhere. Master Thompson, proud and self-assured, loved to assert his superiority, especially over newcomers who dared to enter his domain. His gaze landed on Alex, and for a moment a smirk curled on his lips, a quiet amusement at what he perceived as a naive novice. To him, she was an outsider, someone who had no place in the inner sanctum of his elite circle. Without hesitation, and with a tone dripping in condescension, Master Thompson addressed Alex directly. "You're new here, huh?" he said, his voice loud enough for all the students to hear. "Well, don't expect to do much beyond cleaning the mats. That's probably all you're good for." The statement was a carefully crafted slight, a challenge wrapped in mockery, meant to reduce her to a mere servant in the hierarchy of the gym. Laughter rippled through the room, a mixture of genuine amusement and the uncomfortable laughter of those uncertain how to respond. Some students exchanged glances, unsure if they should defend the newcomer or join in the derision. The sound was a sharp contrast to the otherwise disciplined and respectful environment the gym usually maintained. For Alex, the laughter was like a cold wave washing over her, but she refused to let it drown her spirit. Instead of responding with anger or defensiveness, Alex did something far more powerful. She chose silence. She met Master Thompson's gaze calmly, her eyes steady and unflinching, refusing to be diminished by his arrogance. The humiliation stung, but she held herself with a quiet dignity that spoke volumes. Her silence was not submission, it was a measured response, a refusal to engage on the shallow terms set by a man blinded by his own ego. Slowly, Alex bent down to her task of cleaning the mats, her movements deliberate and precise. Each swipe of her rag was almost meditative, a silent reclaiming of her dignity in a space that had tried to belittle her. The students around her resumed their drills, but many stole glances at the newcomer, who had weathered the storm with grace. Some looked on with newfound respect, others with curiosity, and a few with quiet admiration, even in her apparent submission to the role assigned to her. Alex was demonstrating a strength far greater than that of a boastful warrior. Master Thompson, for all his bravado, failed to recognize the storm gathering beneath Alex's composed exterior. His smirk remained, but there was an undercurrent of unease in his eyes, a subtle realization that he might have underestimated her. The seed of doubt was planted, a challenge to the unshakable pedestal upon which he had placed himself. What unfolded in the next moments was not just a clash of personalities, but a deeper battle between old-school arrogance and the quiet, unyielding strength of true mastery. Alex's presence was a disruption to the status quo, a reminder that skill and worth were not defined by loud declarations or inherited prestige, but by resilience, humility, and unwavering self-belief. As the class drew to a close, and the students began to gather their belongings, Alex stood silently, her eyes locking briefly with Master Thompson's. There was no triumph in her gaze, no challenge issued in words, only a calm, powerful assurance that spoke louder than any boast. It was a promise that this was only the beginning, that beneath the surface of every underestimated newcomer lies a force waiting to be unleashed. In the days that followed, the dynamics of the gym began to shift subtly but unmistakably. Students who had once dismissed Alex began seeking her out, eager to learn from her quiet confidence and evident skill. Even some of the more senior practitioners found themselves reassessing their own assumptions and attitudes. Master Thompson, meanwhile, was forced to confront the limitations of his own arrogance, realizing that respect could not be demanded but had to be earned anew. Alex's journey in that gym became a testament to the transformative power of humility, patience, and quiet strength. She embodied the idea that true mastery is not about dominating others through intimidation, but about mastering oneself, overcoming. Of martial artistry, the gym, once buzzing with excitement and confidence in Thompson's superiority, began to grow quiet, the spectators caught in a mixture of disbelief and awe. Thompson's smug laughter, once booming and filled with arrogance, faltered as he struggled to recalibrate his strategy against an opponent who was clearly no novice. But Alex was not just defending. She was taking control. Her movements were a study in balance and power, a dance of dominance that left no room for hesitation. With a deft maneuver, she seized an opening, an imperfection in Thompson's overconfidence, and executed a flawless disarm. The sound of Thompson's weapon clattering against the mat was like a bell tolling the shift in momentum, a physical manifestation of his crumbling authority. Suddenly, it was Thompson who was on the defensive, eyes wide with shock as he found himself caught in a submission hold, expertly applied and unyielding. Alex's grip was firm but controlled, a demonstration of power held in check by precision and respect for the art itself. The gym had fallen completely silent. The only sound, the quiet tension of a man realizing his position had been utterly reversed. The expression on Thompson's face, once filled with cocky laughter and disdain, melted away to reveal pure disbelief, edged with a creeping panic. His pride, built on years of dominance, was shattered in an instant by the undeniable truth of Alex's superior skill. The emotional weight of the moment was immense. It was not just a sparring match, but a profound narrative of transformation, of the bullied becoming the master, of false assumptions being crushed beneath the strength of quiet determination. Those watching could feel the air change as the power balance shifted from arrogance to humility, from the oppressor to the underdog who had risen. Alex's eyes, calm and resolute, never left Thompson's, conveying a message far beyond the physical battle. Respect is earned through skill and integrity, not through intimidation or bluster. As the submission hold was gently released and Alex helped Thompson to his feet, the gym erupted, not with the jeers or ridicule one might expect, but with a wave of respect and admiration. The bully was humbled, his defeat clear not just in his stance but in the way he now looked at Alex, with newfound respect and a grudging acknowledgement of her mastery. This moment became a powerful symbol for everyone present, a reminder that true strength is not measured by brute force or dominance, but by the mastery of oneself and the courage to defy expectations. The narrative of the sparring match transcended sport. It was a human story of resilience, transformation, and the triumph of skill and character over prejudice and arrogance. The echoes of that stunning display of skill would reverberate through the gym long after the match ended, inspiring those who had witnessed it to rethink their assumptions about power, ability, and respect. In that charged atmosphere, Alex's victory was not merely a personal triumph but a testament to the potential within all who dare to stand firm against the odds, proving that beneath every underestimated surface lies the possibility of greatness waiting to be unleashed. In the quiet aftermath of the intense showdown, Alex's grip on Master Thompson's wrist slowly loosened as she released him with an air of calm dignity that silenced the once rowdy crowd. The gym, which just moments before had echoed with the jeering and laughter of the students who doubted her abilities, now held a breathless stillness that felt almost sacred. Every eye in the room was fixed on her, not with scorn or disbelief, but with an awe inspired by the graceful strength she had displayed. The transformation was palpable. Where there had been derision and underestimation, there was now reverence and respect. Master Thompson, a man whose reputation had been built on dominance and a fierce pride in his own prowess, stood humbled and defeated before her. His chest heaved not from exertion alone but from the weight of his own reckoning. The arrogance and prejudice that had once colored his every word and action now seemed to shrink away in the shadow of Alex's undeniable skill and composure. In a voice that wavered with the raw honesty of a man confronting his own flaws, he offered an apology that was as sincere as it was heartfelt. He confessed that he had never before witnessed such mastery, such quiet power, and that his own assumptions had blinded him to the truth of her talent and character. This moment of vulnerability, rare and profound, was not just a gesture of contrition, but a powerful acknowledgement of the lesson he had learned through the very person he had underestimated. It was a turning point, a testament to the transformative power of humility, a lesson that no physical victory alone could have taught him. With the room still holding its breath, Master Thompson extended an unexpected offer, one that transcended mere words. He invited Alex to join his gym in a senior position, a role of influence and respect that signified not only his admiration for her skill, but also a deep recognition of her character and potential to inspire others. This offer was more than a professional advancement. It was an olive branch, a bridge extended across the divide of pride and prejudice, signaling a readiness to embrace change and growth. Alex, embodying grace and wisdom far beyond her years, accepted his apology and the offer with a gentle nod, her demeanor radiating forgiveness and strength. In that single act, she shattered the false notion that true power comes from domination or control. Instead, she demonstrated that real power lies in humility, in the ability to rise above conflict, and in the courage to accept and offer respect even to those who once doubted or opposed you. The scene resonated deeply with everyone present, a poignant reminder that the path to greatness is paved not only with skill, but with the capacity for empathy and understanding. The students, once quick to mock, now found themselves inspired, witnessing firsthand the profound impact of humility and the possibility of transformation in even the most unlikely of circumstances. The gym, a place that had been a battleground for ego and rivalry, was now a space of renewed possibility, where respect and mutual growth could flourish. In that moment, Alex's victory transcended the physical. It became a symbol of emotional intelligence and the quiet power of grace. The story of that day would ripple far beyond the walls of the gym, a timeless lesson etched into the hearts of all who witnessed it, that humility is not a sign of weakness but a foundation of true strength, and that respect, when given freely and accepted graciously, can heal divisions and build bridges toward a better future. In the heart of the city, nestled between the hum of everyday life and the relentless pace of modern ambition, stood a gym unlike any other, a beacon of transformation, resilience, and quiet strength. This was the gym that Alex had helped rebuild, a joint venture born from her partnership with Master Thompson, a revered figure in the martial arts world known not only for his skill, but for his unwavering belief in the power of respect and humility. The gym had once been a place shadowed by arrogance, where ego often overshadowed the true spirit of martial arts, breeding competition and pride rather than growth and understanding. But today, under Alex's calm and dignified leadership, it had blossomed into something profoundly different, an inclusive sanctuary where every student, regardless of background or ability, found not only discipline and technique but also a deep sense of belonging and purpose. Alex, herself a woman shaped by a journey of trials, self-discovery, and hard-won wisdom, stood at the center of this transformation. Her hands moved with precision and grace, guiding her students through complex forms and techniques, but it was her eyes, steady, compassionate, and full of quiet authority, that truly held the room. She taught them that martial arts were not merely about physical strength or the ability to dominate. They were a way of life, a discipline that demanded respect for oneself and others, a humility that opened the heart even as it strengthened the body. In every bow, every stance, every carefully measured breath, Alex imparted lessons far deeper than punches and kicks. She instilled in her students an understanding that true power was not about boasting or intimidation, but about control, balance, and the courage to face oneself honestly. The diversity of the gym's members was a testament to her vision. Young and old, men and women, people from varied cultures and walks of life, all united in pursuit of growth. Their faces, glistening with sweat and determination, reflected a mosaic of stories, struggles, and aspirations. Alex knew many of these students personally, each with their own battles, whether with fear, self-doubt, or past wounds, and she greeted them all with unwavering patience and kindness. To her, they were more than pupils. They were a community, a living proof that transformation was possible when given the right guidance and support. The atmosphere in the gym was electric yet serene, a paradox that spoke to the balance Alex had cultivated. There was energy, enthusiasm, and the thrill of challenge, but also a profound respect that permeated every corner, a respect for the art, for each other, and for the journey itself. The gym's walls, once witnesses to harsh words and clashing egos, now echoed with encouragement and laughter, with quiet moments of reflection and shared triumphs. Alex's own journey was woven into every fiber of this place. She remembered the days when she was a fighter in a very different arena, battling not just opponents but also the shadows of her own insecurities and a world that often underestimated her. She had risen from those struggles not through brute force or bluster, but through persistence, humility, and the wisdom to learn from every defeat. Partnering with Master Thompson had been a turning point, a merging of two visions that recognized the true essence of martial arts as a path of honor and personal growth rather than mere conquest. Together, they had painstakingly reshaped the gym's culture, dismantling old hierarchies and opening doors for voices that had been silenced. Alex had introduced programs that emphasized mental discipline, emotional intelligence, and community service, reminding everyone that martial arts extended far beyond the mats. Parents watched proudly as their children flourished, not only gaining physical skills but growing into confident, respectful individuals. Veterans found solace and strength, students discovered resilience they never knew they possessed, and former skeptics became passionate advocates of the gym's philosophy. Throughout it all, Alex remained a quiet yet formidable presence, never one to seek the spotlight, yet impossible to ignore. Her leadership was not about dominance, but about inspiration. She led by example, demonstrating that strength and kindness were not mutually exclusive, but rather two sides of the same coin. Her calm demeanor in the face of challenges, her readiness to listen and understand before acting, and her unshakable commitment to fairness earned her the respect of both students and peers alike. The gym became a living testament to her belief that greatness was measured not by trophies or accolades, but by the positive impact one had on others' lives. On this particular day, as sunlight streamed through the high windows casting golden hues across the polished floors, Alex guided her students through a particularly demanding sequence. The room was filled with focused determination, punctuated by the rhythmic sounds of controlled breathing and the soft thuds of feet meeting mats. After a challenging session, she gathered everyone into a circle, her voice steady and warm as she spoke not just of technique, but of life itself, of perseverance in the face of adversity, of the strength found in humility, and of the importance of lifting others as one climbs. Her words hung in the air like a gentle challenge and an invitation, urging each person to look inward, to discover their own potential, and to carry that light outward into the world. Her students, from the youngest beginners to the seasoned practitioners, listened intently, feeling the weight and truth of her message. Outside the gym's doors, life carried on, rushing cars, busy streets, the noise of a city that often seemed indifferent to such quiet revolutions. But inside, a new legacy was being written, one lesson, one respectful bow, and one shared smile at a time. Alex's son watched from the sidelines, his eyes wide with admiration and pride. For him, she was more than a mother. She was a symbol of hope, resilience, and the power of dreams nurtured through hard work and compassion. He knew that her story, though rooted in struggle, was ultimately one of triumph, not just personal but communal. It was a legacy that would inspire generations to come, a reminder that true power was not about showing off, but about inspiring others to be their best selves. As the day drew to a close and the gym's lights dimmed, Alex stood quietly amidst her students, a humble leader who had transformed more than a building or a business. She had transformed lives. Her journey from a fighter wrestling with inner doubts to a teacher embodying dignity and grace was a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. In her hands, the gym was no longer just a place of physical training. It was a sanctuary of hope, discipline, and mutual respect, where every individual was empowered to write their own story. And in that quiet, unassuming space, Alex had found her true purpose, not in accolades or titles, but in the lasting impact of her courage, kindness, and vision, forever shaping what it meant to be strong.